He was fully committed to ensuring Nigeria responded effectively to the challenge of COVID-19, and he died in the line of duty.
Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 pays glowing tribute to Abba Kyari at its first media briefing after the death of the late Chief of Staff to President Buhari. Checking COVID-19 spread, 25 inmates gain freedom in Delta State.
Of these kits consist of standardized gowns, face shield, and nose masks.
More Boko Haram leaders fall to firepower of the Nigerian military, just as Defense Industry Corporation invents indigenous ventilators to support the fight against COVID-19. Hello, welcome to the news at 9, reaching you live on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA. I am Muhammad Kuda Abubakar in Abuja. Reading with me tonight is Michael Olale in Lagos. As at 11:50 p.m. Sunday, the 19th of April 2020, Nigeria recorded 86 new cases of COVID-19. This brings the total figure of confirmed cases of coronavirus in Nigeria to 627. 70 cases were in Lagos, 7 in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, 3 in Katsina, 3 in Akwa Ibom State, and 1 each in Jigawa, Bauchi, and Borno states. Meanwhile, 170 have been discharged, and so far, 21 people have died for the virus in Nigeria. Ghana deploys drones for contactless delivery to transport COVID-19 test samples as the United Nations calls for global emergency supply system. Adebola Brooklyn Sunday has this and more on COVID-19 global update.
COVID-19 tally by Johns Hopkins University at about 6:40 p.m. Nigerian time shows that 2,436,811 persons have been infected by coronavirus globally, out of which 167,278 have died, while 638,078 people have recovered. Meanwhile, the United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs has issued an urgent call for $350 million to scale up the global emergency supply system and ensure crucial assistance to tackle the coronavirus gets to the world's poorest countries. The system will be coordinated by the World Food Programme. In Africa, Ghana is using delivery drone from US-based startup Zipline to enable it to test people more quickly outside major cities for the novel coronavirus. Ghana has 834 confirmed cases, 9 deaths, with 99 recoveries. A spokesman for British Prime Minister Boris Johnson said Britain needs to be sure that lifting or easing social distancing measures does not lead to a second wave of the coronavirus outbreak. He said if the kingdom moves too quickly, then the virus could begin to spread exponentially. Iran this Monday began the opening of intercity highways and major shopping centers to stimulate its sanction-choked economy, saying it has brought its coronavirus outbreak under control. The death toll from coronavirus in Iran has reached 5,209. I am Adebola Brooklyn Sunday.
Meanwhile, the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 has paid tribute to the late Chief of Staff to the President, Malam Abba Kyari, whom the task force acknowledged as being the force behind its establishment. The task force also cleared the air over the burial of the late Chief of Staff.
He was fully committed to ensuring Nigeria responded effectively to the challenge of COVID-19, and he died in the line of duty. We will always remember his robust efforts, his dedication, and an unwavering commitment to strengthening Nigeria's capacity to manage the impact of this pandemic. This development has renewed our resolve to remain focused on the response to COVID-19 in honor of the late Chief of Staff and those that have fallen victims of this pandemic.
Contrary to what is on social media, the late Chief of Staff's body was properly prepared for burial according to NCDC guidelines and the Islamic faith. Bodies of persons with COVID-19 are stated clearly by the WHO guidelines, and I quote, "Except in cases of viral hemorrhagic fever and cholera, dead bodies are generally not infectious. To date, there is no evidence of persons having become infected from exposure to the bodies of persons who have died from COVID-19." Close quote. Therefore, we would like to further assure the public that we will continue to follow the guidelines and protocols we have produced. The NCDC guidelines are very much reflecting the WHO guidelines.
The steady increase in cases of coronavirus in some states across Nigeria, including the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, is of utmost concern and worry to many. Health correspondent Hakimat Aliu in this report brings us up to speed on the situation of COVID-19 in the Federal Capital Territory as anxiety hits the records of community transmission.
Federal Capital Territory from less than 5 confirmed cases of COVID-19 as at 22nd of March 2020 is presently now above 80. The Acting Secretary, FCT Health and Human Services Secretariat, Dr. Mohammed Kawu, pointed out that more cases are being recorded in Abuja.
Mabushi is where we have problem. We tested about 175. Unfortunately, we got about 5 positive cases. And most of them have been moved to the treatment center in Asokoro. We also went to Gishiri community. We tested about 121. We also had 1 positive.
Dr. Kawu also noted with concern community infection transmission, which has set in, and if not properly handled, can lead to escalation of coronavirus cases.
So it shows you the spread of the virus. It's as easy as creating an application linked to the software where people can easily feel on their mobile phones suspect cases, track symptoms they are having, and the NCDC can visualize that on a dashboard and be able to locate people they know that or require urgent treatment or urgent intake into their flow.
In Abuja, Hakimat Aliu, NTA News.
Federal government has constituted an interministerial committee with a mandate to ensure adequate food production and supply during the lockdown period. Musa Abba Aliu has details.
The Interministerial Committee was constituted with a view to looking at issues affecting food security and agricultural activities during the lockdown, not only in Abuja, Lagos and Ogun State, but the entire country. The committee consists of Minister of Agriculture Mahmoud Sabananono, that of Defense Bashir Magashi, that of Interior Rauf Aregbesola, and that of Police Affairs Maigari Dingyadi, and Commandant of the Nigeria Civil Defense.
Agreed that law enforcement agents to liaise with local governments and state with officials in determining modalities for facilitating the movement of foodstuff and from markets during the lockdown.
They agreed that the opportunity should not be abused by transporting contraband items, including illicit drugs, arms and ammunition.
Agreed that the resolution of this meeting will in turn be communicated to the chairman, Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, chairman of Governors Forum and the chairman of ALGON for information and further action.
The 4 ministers are to convene a periodic review meeting to assess the situation and advise the chairman of the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 on the way forward. In Abuja, Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
The attitude of some residents, particularly motorists, to compliance with the lockdown directive is becoming worrisome. This is more so that there is continued increase in number of persons infected with COVID-19 in Nigeria, including the Federal Capital Territory. Austin Ayebe in this report takes a look at the situation.
With the increasing cases of COVID-19 in Nigeria and a low level of compliance by residents at the Federal Capital Territory, people are becoming apprehensive. They have raised almost free flow of traffic on the major roads within the city center and satellite towns like on the Musa Yaradua Expressway, popularly called Airport Road. Even though there are security checkpoints on the roads, no proper checks on who and why they are out, paving way for easy movement.
The enforcement, I don't think is effective enough, but I'm personally concerned.
It's quite worrisome. I'm sure not everybody are on essential duty, but well, I hope everybody will just listen to the advice from NCDC and the federal government so that
I want to go and wind up my glass inside the town.
Asked why the free flow, none of the security personnel volunteer comment, but the special assistant on communications and logistics to the Minister of State, FCT, says they are reviewing strategies on enforcement.
Still not in terms with the reality of this, the presence of the pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic in the FCT, and it's really worrisome, but the administration will still continue doing its bit to ensure that people comply.
The medical expert who decried the attitude of some residents says with the new phase of the pandemic in Nigeria, lockdown is the only way to prevent community infection.
What is happening now in Nigeria, we're in the phase of community transmission. Lockdown has to be with the cooperation of the population. They have to understand that, look, the only way we cannot go to the top of that curve, we can flatten the curve down earlier, is for us to have a total lockdown.
He appealed to residents to comply with the lockdown directive by the government for public goods. In Abuja, Austin Anyebe, NTA News.
The Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 has formally apologized to Nigerians for what it called the unintentional violation of social distancing protocols at the funeral of the late Chief of Staff to the President, Abba Kyari. Chairman of the task force and Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, who tendered the apology at Monday's briefing in Abuja, urged Nigerians not to relent until the war against COVID-19 is won. Kyari has the report.
Chairman of the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, Boss Mustafa, acknowledged that there was breach of regulations at the funeral of late Chief of Staff to the President, Abba Kyari, but said the breach was unintentional.
The PTF recognizes regrettably the unintentional violation of the principles and protocols that form the core of our messaging to Nigerians at the funeral of the late Chief of Staff. Lessons have been learned and appropriate measures have been taken to close all gaps. We assure all Nigerians of their safety and the determination of the PTF to combat the pandemic.
After review of experiences gathered so far, the Minister of Health said fresh strategies are being developed towards containing coronavirus in Nigeria.
The worrying increase in the frequency and numbers of new persons with COVID-19 being recorded daily is attributable to this new strategy in combination with higher community transmission. A new national action plan is under development to adjust and address this development.
We continue to be concerned about the movement of large number of persons across state borders. We would like to appeal to state authorities to ensure that this does not happen, as this will further increase the risk of spread.
The Presidential Task Force noted that the national response against COVID-19 is Nigeria's most coordinated response to any health crisis in the nation's history, and says it will remain resolute and focused until coronavirus is defeated. In Abuja, Kyari, NTA News.
Time now for some messages. The news continues after this timeout.
Connected with your loved ones from wherever you are with the Airtel Home Broadband Device offer. Get up to 160 gigabyte free on Airtel routers with just 19,999 naira and up to 55 gigabyte free on Airtel Wi-Fi's with 9,999 naira. More data, more you. Reliable home broadband by Airtel, the smartphone network.
Today, the cessation of movement, physical distancing measures, and the prohibition of mass gatherings remain the most efficient and effective way of reducing the transmission of the virus. By sustaining these measures, combined with extensive testing and contact tracing, we can take control and limit the spread of the disease.
stay-home data plan. All existing Glow customers now enjoy up to 20% more data. Glow Unlimited. This month of April, the Nigerian Air Force marks its 56th anniversary of establishment as the air element of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The anniversary is peculiar as it is taking place in the shadow of the COVID-19 global pandemic. As a result, the fanfare and sequence of events that usually herald the occasion have been dispensed with in keeping with the mood of the nation, as well as the necessity to comply with stipulated precautionary measures. Nevertheless, in view of the need to remember the labors of our heroes, especially those who paid the supreme price in service to our great nation in various theaters of operation, the Nigerian Air Force deems it necessary to carry out two events to mark the anniversary, if only to remind us of the sacrifices of these our fallen heroes, whilst not forgetting the current crops of service personnel who continue to make daily sacrifices in service to our fatherland. These events are a symbolic flight past by Nigerian Air Force aircraft over Abuja on the 22nd of April 2020, as well as the distribution of food items and other palliatives to members of the host communities in each of the 6 geopolitical zones and the Federal Capital Territory from 21st to 26th of April 2020. While the distribution of palliatives is aimed at contributing towards the federal government's efforts to assuage the hardship occasioned by the lockdown imposed to curb the spread of COVID-19. The fly past will serve as a salute to the Nigerian people for their support to the Nigerian Air Force over the years, whilst also reminding us all to stay safe in these trying times. As we commemorate this 56th anniversary, the Chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Baba Abubakar, wishes to assure Nigerians that the Nigerian Air Force will continue to play its part in dealing with all threats to peace and prosperity of our great nation. Nigerian Air Force, willing, able, ready.
Give me 100 naira rice and add 888 join up. Yes.
Which time I go be this now? Not be the same 100 when everybody pays his money.
They no use code.
Which code?
Oh boy, no get it from market to get better. 888 now be the code yo.
Yes, so anytime you recharge with star 888 star pin hash, MTN will summer you with 5 times your recharge. Make you take turn up better a wolf.
This is the NTA Network News. Kano State Government has concluded arrangements for the distribution of foodstuff among vulnerable persons in the society to cushion the effect of the week-long stay-at-home order. Governor Abdullahi Umar Ganduje said this when he led a meeting of stakeholders to identify additional ways of containing community spread of COVID-19 in the state. Abdullahi Mustafa has details.
Stakeholders at the meeting include members of the Kano State Task Force on COVID-19 led by the Deputy Governor Nasir Yusuf Gawuna, Emir of Kano Amina Ado Bayero, religious and community leaders, as well as members of the State Executive Council. It was at the instance of Governor Abdullahi Umar Ganduje following the increase in number of cases of the novel virus in the state, which recorded 36 in 1 week. Presentations were made on the successes recorded and challenges in the enforcement of the lockdown order, as well as progress made so far by the State Fundraising Committee. 300 households, Governor Ganduje disclosed, have been identified in the planned distribution of foodstuff to the less privileged.
So our intention is to provide palliatives on the basis of households and on the basis of electoral units. We have over 125,000 electoral units in Kano State.
He also announced plans to evacuate all Almajiris to their states of origin as part of additional measures against community spread of COVID-19. In Kano, Abdullahi Mustafa, NTA News.
As part of efforts to ensure sustained implementation of its free and compulsory basic primary and secondary education, Kano State Government has moved to decongest Almajiri schools by evacuating Almajiri pupils to their respective states for onward reunion with their families. A statement by the State Commissioner for Information, Malam Muhammad Garba, says the measure becomes imperative as closure of all primary and secondary schools 3 weeks ago has caused the Almajiri seminaries to remain congested with pupils having no shelter and no place to go. The statement also says the measure which is being adopted after due consultation is in line with its proactive measures to control the spread of the deadly virus in the state. Already arrangements have been concluded for the handing over of 432 Almajiris to Katsina State, Tuesday the 21st of April 2020. 8 other states and the Niger Republic, which has 1 Almajiri, will also follow. Confronted with a new unseen enemy which neither bombs nor guns can destroy, the Nigerian military, through the Defense Industries Corporation of Nigeria, has been forced to go back to the drawing board to come up with a weapon against the rampaging COVID-19. Defense correspondent Naja Atutijani reports.
Not an assault rifle, nor an automatic submachine gun. This small but mighty device has the potential to save millions of lives. It is a portable mechanical ventilator made right here in Nigeria with locally sourced materials. Likewise, these hand sanitizers and personal protective equipment, PPE.
Each unit of these kits consists of standardized gowns, face shield and nose masks. They are currently being produced in large quantities. First and foremost, our priority is to satisfy the national demand.
Global shortages of ventilators and other protective gear deployed against COVID-19, coupled with their high cost of production, has made this low-cost innovation by the Defense Industries Corporation of Nigeria, DICON, a strategic intervention in support of the federal government fight against the pandemic. It's early days yet for the ventilator invented by the military, as experts say projects or prototypes like this should be tested for at least 5 years before being mass-produced. But DICON says the emergency caused by the coronavirus pandemic has made it necessary to expedite this intervention. Meanwhile, in the war front against terrorism and insurgency, the Nigerian military says it has destroyed several key Boko Haram fighters and ISWAP leaders in airstrikes in Durbada, Borno State. Najat Tijani, NTA News.
We now join Kogi State Governor Yahaya Bello in Lokoja via Skype to speak on the COVID-19 situation in Kogi State. Your Excellency, thank you for joining us on the NTA Network News.
Thank you very much, Mohammed, and good evening, viewers.
Kogi State is yet to record any case of COVID-19 despite having border with many states with the virus and also been the main transit for movement across the country. What is the state doing to maintain its zero coronavirus status?
Thank you very much. Ever since the advent of this particular novel virus called coronavirus COVID-19, we have been very proactive here in Kogi State. We're among the very first states that constituted COVID-19 squadron for Kogi State. And following the various protocols, we are relying heavily on sensitizing our people in Kogi State on every measure that needed to be taken to ensure that prevent it. And like you all know, prevention, they say, is better than cure. We ensure that no one single one contact it, and before we begin tracing. So we immediately asked all our public workforce and schools to shut down and work from home when possible.
But it appears the Kogi State is yet to be on a lockdown. So when will you be going on a lockdown, or how do you think you'll be able to stop the virus from coming in if you are not on a lockdown?
Thank you very much. I think, first of all, before you talk of lockdown, this particular COVID-19 of a thing is a war, and I sincerely appreciate all my colleagues, from Mr. President to my colleagues, for all the fight that they are putting on in their various states. Lockdown is not just the only way of preventing this particular coronavirus from spreading. Like I said, when you sensitize the people and they know the implication of what they do and how to prevent any disease, it's more effective. That is one. Two, we're not going to go on lockdown or lockup because we are technically in Kogi State lockdown already. All the 10 states, including FCT, have already locked down. So it means any case coming into Kogi State will meet a brick wall. So we on our own here have been proactive, and there's no any case that can come in from any other state. We only allow our border because it's the center. Kogi is the gateway between the north and south. So we only allow all those essentials to pass through the state. So locking down will mean we're already adding salt into the injury because it's already scary. The way and manner we're going about this issue of COVID-19, the psychology alone, people are developing high BP. So if there's no one single case and we go on lockdown, it means we want our people to starve to death. So what we now do is to ensure that we carry the sensitization to the grassroots and ensure that people maintain maximum social distancing and to ensure that that does not spread.
Your Excellency, it appears you are prepared, but I will still ask, how prepared is the state to handle the pandemic eventually when you have it?
Eventually we're going to have it. That is number one. Number two, what we did is, being part of our proactiveness, is to establish isolation centers in the 3 senatorial districts of Kogi State. And we went ahead to procure sample collection kits to ensure, because we don't have any test center here already. What we have already is to ensure that we collect samples where there is need. But before then, we have launched a web-based link where the people themselves will go and log in and answer some questions so that if they are either low risk, high risk, or no risk at all. And wherever there's even fake news, somebody has even escaped into the state, we don't take it for granted. We quickly zero in to ensure that we eliminate any chance of any case coming into Kogi State. And that is working for us effectively here.
Your Excellency, thank you so much for your time. We've been speaking with His Excellency Kogi State Governor Yahaya Bello on the state's preparedness for COVID-19. The federal government has opened a condolence register in honor of the late Chief of Staff to the President, Malam Abba Kyari. Abubakar Usman Akwanga was at the office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, where the registrar is domiciled, where he said sympathizers were at the SGF's office early this morning to sign the condolence register.
Is the office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, where President Muhammadu Buhari had earlier directed that a condolence register be opened in honor of the late Chief of Staff, Madam Abba Kyari. The exercise has officially commenced with heartfelt sympathies pouring out from prominent Nigerians. Among the sympathizers is the primate of all Nigerian Anglican Communion, Most Reverend Henry Indukuba. They described the late Chief of Staff as a strong character, practical motivator, embodiment of wisdom, a rare administrator, and a loyal public servant. The sympathizers prayed God to admit the soul of the deceased into Al-Jannah Firdaus and grant the president and the country the fortitude to bear the loss. And as a journalist who had an encounter with the late Chief of Staff at a public function recalls how late Malam Kyari warmly waved at me when I requested for audience with him and could not help but pay my last respect. The condolence register will be open for some time to allow Nigerian pay tribute to the late Chief of Staff. Late Malam Abba Kyari died of complications from coronavirus Friday last week at the age of 67 in Abuja. Abubakar Usman Akwanga, NTA News.
We have more on condolences for the late Abba Kyari. Mayor Ogidi has the package.
The Emir of Kano, Alhaji Aminu Ado Bayero, and the patriarch of the Dantata family in Kano, Alhaji Aminu Dantata, in their condolence letters, are pained by the departure of Malam Abba Kyari and send heartfelt sympathies to his principal, President Buhari. Emir of Biu, Alhaji Umar Mustafa, and Emir of Zauzau, Alhaji Shehu Idris, on behalf of their emirates, extend heartfelt sympathies to President Buhari and the entire Abba Kyari family for the death of the icon. All prayed for the repose of the soul of the late Chief of Staff to the President. Same for the national president of the Association of Royal Traditional Rulers of Nigeria, AZT Obiafule, in his condolence message to President Muhammadu Buhari over the death of the Chief of Staff, Abba Kyari. The traditional rulers described late Abba Kyari as a reliable instrument for national unity and a compass that guided various arms of government in their operations to the service of the nation. Similarly, Head of the Civil Service of the Federation, Fulashade Yemiso, on behalf of the body of permanent secretaries and the entire civil service, condoled with President Buhari and the family of the departed, describing the death as a great shock. She described Malam Abba Kyari as the pillar of the administration, whose sense of commitment and dedication is exemplary. Accountant General of the Federation, Ahmed Idris, has also expressed sadness over the demise of Malam Abba Kyari. While condoling with President Buhari over the death of a true friend, Ahmed Idris advises Nigerians to be strong for the commitment the departed, who he described as a dependable ally, demonstrated for the Nigerian project. Acting Commissioner for Assurance, O.S. Thomas, in his own message, took solace in the fact that Malam Abba Kyari lived a good life worthy of emulation, while assuring the President the wealth of the entire insurance industry. Meanwhile, the governorship candidate of the All Progressives Congress, APC, in the last general elections in Enugu State, Senator Ayogo Eze, has described Malam Abba Kyari as a patriot whose commitment to the Nigerian project was clear. This, he said, was demonstrated in his trip abroad on the mission to lay a solid foundation to improve power supply in Nigeria. The Nigerian Institute of Public Relations also joined well-meaning Nigerians in sending condolences to President Muhammadu Buhari in a letter signed by the NIPR President, Mukhtar Zubairu Siraju.
The Catholic Archbishop of Abuja, the Most Reverend Ignatius Kaigama, and the Prelate Methodist Church, Nigeria, His Eminence Samuel Uche, have commiserated with the President Muhammadu Buhari on the death of his Chief of Staff, Abba Kyari. In a letter of condolence on behalf of the priests and all the faithful of the Catholic Archbishop of Abuja to the President, Archbishop Kaigama extended heartfelt condolences to the families and relations of many Nigerians who have lost their lives to the coronavirus pandemic. The cleric encouraged President Buhari to stand strong in faith in these trying times and continue to work resolutely with his team within the resources and possibilities available. On his part, the Methodist prelate prayed God to console the president and family of the deceased. The president also received separate messages of condolence from Chief Bisi Akonde, pioneer national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, APC, Alhaji Bashir Tofa, presidential candidate in June 12, 1993 election, and Senator Adolphus Wabara, former president of the Senate. The president, Nigeria Olympic Committee, Engineer Habu Gomal, and the Shon of Ogbomosho land, Oba Oladuni Ajagungbade III. And we have a report that President Muhammadu Buhari has thanked the many callers who condoled with him, the Kyari family and the nation, following the death of his chief of staff, Abba Kyari. The president expressed appreciation for their letters of condolence, adherence to the Nigeria Center for Disease Control guidelines to prevent the spread of coronavirus pandemic, including maintaining social distancing and staying at home, I'll take that again. In a statement, the president commended Nigerians for avoiding large crowds, by which he said the citizens are playing a part in the effort to defeat the coronavirus pandemic. In a statement, Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, says President Buhari has continued to receive messages of condolence from prominent Nigerians, diplomats, technocrats, members of the National Assembly, serving and former ministers, heads of government and private agencies. In the meantime, the Bauchi State Governor, Bala Mohammed, has also shared with the President the agony of the loss of the Chief of Staff, Malam Abba Kyari. Governor Bala Mohammed said the last telephone conversation he had with the late Chief of Staff when both were in isolation was very beneficial. He said the tips he got from Malam Abba Kyari helped a great deal in his medication. The governor prayed Almighty Allah to grant the President the fortitude to bear the loss. Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari congratulates the Amanoe of Tombia in Ekpetiama Kingdom, Bayelsa State, His Highness Christian Atan Otobok Tekere, as he turns 95 on April the 21st, 2020. In a statement, the president, who commends the monarch for his passion towards the preservation of the environment, described him as a peacemaker, a seasoned farmer, philanthropist, and someone who has worked passionately for the development of his community and the nation at large. The president prays for good health and sound mind for the monarch. We have more news as we join Michael in Lagos. Hello, Michael.
Hello, Muhammad, and thanks for joining us. To curb the spread of COVID-19 in Lagos State, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu says government will make wearing of face masks at public places compulsory from next week after the production and distribution of the masks across the country. The governor made this known while briefing journalists on the updates of COVID-19 in the state. Nusa Sula has the details.
During the early days of the coronavirus pandemic, health experts made it clear that unless you're sick or a medical professional, you do not need to wear a face mask. With COVID-19 cases soaring, experts now say face masks can help slow COVID-19, despite previous claims. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, who assured residents that government was doing everything to contain the spread of the virus, stated that government is collaborating with the organized private sector to ensure availability of the masks.
Let me assure you that there is no need to panic. The increase in numbers we're seeing is evidence of the success of our evolving strategy of wrapping up testing by going into our local communities.
The governor warned against discriminating against those who have been treated and discharged, saying they are free to relate with their families and the community. He urged those feeling the symptoms of the virus to present themselves for testing in order for them to get the necessary help they require.
I would like to employ us all that we should refrain from sharing news and reports that have not been verified or that seek to cause fear and danger amongst us.
The governor also called on Muslim faithful to maintain the social distancing as they observe Ramadan. In Lagos, Dosa, Usula, NTA News.
Dangote Foundation and Access Bank, alongside other corporate organizations, have procured more than 250 molecular testing kits with the target of expanding the country's testing capacity for COVID-19 to over 1 million. In addition, the private sector will embark on palliative programs targeted at over 1.7 million families across the country. Amaka O reports.
The devastating effects of the COVID-19 pandemic has affected virtually all aspects of human existence. This has necessitated a swift response through a coalition against COVID-19 by the private sector, led by Dangote Foundation and Access Bank PLC.
We've been able to increase Nigeria's access to testing platforms from Roche, from Cepheid, and when Abba is eventually ready, we'll be ordering supplies from them too. But for instance, with Roche, Nigeria was on track to receive 38,000 kits. We, as CACOVID, have ordered 250,000 testing kits.
We all need to get tested, and tested not just once. You can test negative today, depending on contact and all of that I hear. It is possible that you may need to do another test at some other time, if you get the point I'm trying to make. Then only can we start to solve this problem.
The corporate intervention is not only addressing healthcare-related issues, but also social problems that have evolved as a result of the lockdown by providing isolation centers in Lagos, Abuja, Port Harcourt, Enugu, Kano, and Maiduguri to cover the 6 geopolitical zones in the country.
There's still a lot of opportunity, and we would like business to participate. And as I said, if you haven't participated as yet, please get hold of us.
Workers will also be deployed to operate in the 774 local government areas in Nigeria to ensure adequate distribution of food items to its citizenry. The coalition against COVID-19 by the private sector comprises of about 50 contributing organizations.
They are also collaborating with the government in providing recovery plans ahead when the pandemic is over. In Lagos, Amaka Owo, NTA News.
This is NTA Network News. More reports after this break. Please stay tuned.
As you can see, I'm at home. I'm reading a book. When I get bored, I watch movies. Life has not stopped. Together we can beat this thing. All we have to do is make sure we do the necessary things, which is wash our hands, use a hand sanitizer frequently, wash your hands with soap. Please avoid crowded environments, crowded places. If you must head out maybe to get groceries, use the face mask. So please stay safe, stay responsible, and stay at home.
No perfect family may be under threat by germs. Germs can cause infectious diseases like diarrhea, typhoid, and flu. These infectious diseases are amongst the biggest killers of adults and children. In Nigeria, tens of thousands of children under the age of 5 have died due to diarrhea caused by germs. These illness-causing germs are everywhere. Dirty surfaces, on cuts and wounds, on your clothes, in unclean bathing water. To protect your family from germs, use the power of Dettol's 1 capful. For surface cleaning, for first aid, for your laundry, in your bathing water, and to protect your family from up to 100 illness-causing germs.
Introducing Dettol with aloe vera. Soothing aloe vera, the power of Dettol, which is soft on skin and hard on germs. Be Dettol Sure.
Your hogs are a comfy place for dropping in, for lazing around, and hanging out. So we've designed our hugs to be just as comfy, with a super absorbent core to lock wetness away, and a soft, flexible waistband. Our most comfortable diaper keeps baby comfy at every angle. We'll never stop finding new ways to hug more like you. Huggies, your hugs inspire ours.
Awesome screen, awesome camera, long-lasting battery life. Awesome screen, awesome camera, long-lasting battery life.
Awesome screen, awesome camera, long-lasting battery life. Awesome screen, awesome camera, long-lasting battery life. Awesome screen, awesome camera, awesome screen, awesome camera.
kids from playing stops the learning. That's why we stop the germs.
Indeed, Safeguard fights against germs. Safeguard removes 99% of germs.
What we are really cultivating here is a better future for all Nigerian women, and it's not always easy. Panadol Extra relieves headache, backache, joint pain, toothache, and menstrual pain. The pain is worth it.
The coronavirus pandemic has changed the way we see the world,
the way we work and interact with each other.
COVID-19 affects all of us.
To defeat this human challenge and protect our great country, Nigeria, we must listen to our health professionals.
Stay home. Wash your hands or sanitize. If you have symptoms,
contact the health authorities immediately.
Join the private sector coalition against COVID-19
by supporting any way you can.
Nothing is too small to make a difference. We can do it because we're strong and resilient.
Let's fight to defend our motherland, Nigeria, by working together.
And stay alive together.
We can stay alive. Stay alive. Stay alive together.
A mother's instincts are hardly ever wrong. She knows when all is not well. And she trusts M&B Paracetamol, the red one, to save the day. With fast-acting and effective M&B Paracetamol tablet, the red one, and its pleasant-tasting pineapple flavor syrup, she sends aches and pains far away from her family. M&B Paracetamol. Pain can't stop you. If symptoms persist after 2 days, consult your doctor.
In Nigeria, there is one sound we need to silence. So let's silence toothache before it starts with Oral-B All-Round Protection. Its advanced technology helps prevent both tooth holes and gum problems that can lead to tooth loss. It strengthens your teeth, giving them all-round protection. Because the only sound we really want to hear is that of our future. For healthier, stronger teeth in 1 week.
Welcome back from Abuja studios of the Network News. The Nigerian Deposit Insurance Corporation, NDIC, has condoled with President Muhammad Buhari on the demise of his Chief of Staff, Abba Kyari. Managing Director and Chief Executive Umaru Ibrahim, in a letter on behalf of the Board of Directors, Executive Management and the entire staff of the NDIC, described Malam Abba Kyari as a patriot whose rich experience and unique competence will be missed. The NDIC boss further described Abba Kyari as an erudite and committed public servant who was widely respected for his unwavering loyalty and commitment to the rapid economic development of the country. Malam Umaru Ibrahim prayed Almighty Allah to grant the late Abba Kyari eternal rest. Oil prices dropped to their lowest in 21 years as businesses' activities remain low. Muplang Dakok is here with business news. Hello, Muplang.
Hello, Mohammed, and thank you for joining us on Business News. There appears to be no respite in sight for oil producers as the volatility and continuous price slump in the global market continues. Crude oil prices extended slide, crashing to their lowest in over 2 decades due to a combination of low global demands and concerns that global storage facilities are rapidly running out. The U.S. benchmark West Texas Intermediate WTI crude tanked to $11.04 per barrel, the lowest since 1998. Brent crude was down 6.1% at $26.38 per barrel in early trade, but dropped further to close at $25.54. Experts say the present circumstances in the global oil market indicate that the output cut deal between OPEC Plus and other top oil-producing countries is proving insufficient to take care of declining oil demand. And talking stocks, the market rally continued into this week as stocks resumed the session upbeat this Monday but failed to hold ground. At the close of trade this Monday, the all-share index lost 0.01%, a marginal decline to close the session at 22,920.14 points. Investors lost 612.9 million naira as they exchanged 345.4 million shares valued at 4.2 billion naira in 4,930 deals. Market breadth closed negative as Nestle led 14 gainers, while Guinness topped 15 losers for the day. FBNH, Guarantee and Transcorp were the most active to boost market turnover, while Nestle and Guarantee topped market value list. And that's it from the business desk. It's back to you, Kudu, for the rest of the news.
Thank you, Moplang. We'll have more reports as we join Mariam in Jos.
Hello, good evening. It's good to have you join us. All illegal routes into Plateau State are to be effectively policed to ensure zero entry during the Phase 2 lockdown. Plateau State Commissioner of Police Isaac Akimoede, who gave this indication, said the command is committed to ensuring total compliance. Rinret Lot reports.
After the usual deliberation with security heads in the state, the Commissioner of Police said joint intelligence units deployed in various operational areas of the state feed the security heads with relevant information to track down defaulters of the stay-at-home order.
We were physically on ground on Saturday, at Bauchi Road boundary, and we saw some illegal routes which immediately I directed the DPO in that area and the area commander, and also the security agencies on field that they should mobilize and then block those illegal routes. Other routes have been identified in other border posts, which we're also working on too.
On the allegation that some security men at the border allow entry into the state on collecting monetary tips, the CP replies.
People at the borders have been doing their work conscientiously. They should do their duty with fear of God, and they should be firm in taking decisions, and that they have been doing.
He, however, commended residents of the state for their cooperation with security men, reminding the people that the mobile courts are still on ground to try defaulters of the stay-at-home order. In Jos, Rinret Silvanus Lot, NTA News.
That's the much we can take from here. Kudu, it's back to you for what's left of the news. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Mariam.
To you.
The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, says the leakage on Port Harcourt Refining Company PHRC pipeline has been repaired. Group General Manager, Group Public Affairs Division, Dr. Kenny Obateru, in a statement said the PHRC quickly mobilized personnel and promptly terminated the ongoing transfer of Premium Motor Spirit, PMS, otherwise known as petrol, with the support of security personnel from the Nigerian Army, Nigerian Navy, Nigerian Police Force, and the Civil Defense. NNPC was able to control the search of persons scooping the spill, after which its maintenance team moved in to carry out the repairs in accordance with all safety and HSE protocols. The leakage, he said, occurred at a point where repair works have been carried out in the past, resulting in a spill. Dr. Obateru said pumping of products through the pipeline has since resumed. We now join Mohammed in Maiduguri for more on NTA Network News.
Thank you, Guru, and welcome to Maiduguri. Following the death of an index case of coronavirus in Borno State, residents of Maiduguri, the state capital, have stepped up hygiene measures against the dreaded virus. Paul Kujevana has the situation report after NCDC confirmed the first case and casualty of COVID-19 in Borno State.
This is University of Maiduguri Teaching Hospital, where the index case of coronavirus was confirmed as it is. The influx of people coming in is very minimal, even though it has been fumigated. The usual checking of temperature and using of hygiene facilities have been intensified at the entrance of the tertiary medical institution, serving as an NCDC COVID-19 testing and treatment center. The situation is the same within Maiduguri, the state capital, with people being more proactive against the disease as anxiety over the first confirmed case in Borno heightens. What they say is enough for the wise. This is clear demonstration of how Maiduguri residents are looking this morning.
I use this handkerchief instead of mask because you can see many people are not having even the handkerchief to put in inside their mouth because it is very scarce.
We just heard it overnight that the coronavirus has entered here and one person who died as a result of that. So and then we have to go for the marks.
The committee is also sitting on a larger scale to review the activities, its own activities so far, and is going to come up with very strong advices to the government on what will best be done to ensure that we're able to contain this and control the spread.
According to the Commissioner of Health, Dr. Salisu Kwaebra, 97 contact persons within Goza and Maiduguri have been traced and taken sample for testing, awaiting confirmation. In Maiduguri, Pauline Kujevana, NTA News.
Time again for a commercial break. Network news continues shortly.
In the face of the coronavirus pandemic, how best to cope community transmission? What has given rise to WHO prediction of Africa as the next epicenter? Tune in to Tuesday Live at 10:30 p.m. for answers and more with those who should know. The program will be incisive and educative. Don't miss it.
Improved household hygiene is essential to keep your family safe. Did you know that the sodium hypochlorite, the active ingredient in hypo bleach, is equipped to fight viruses and germs? Add some bleach to water, soak a clean napkin in diluted bleach, and wipe off germs from common contact surfaces. Wipe off with hypo. Disinfect your home with hypo bleach always.
Endorsed by the Nigerian Medical Association.
In this time of despair, our country, Nigeria, needs us now more than ever. We stand a chance to save our great country, Nigeria. A chance to rise up from this pandemic stronger and better. What will be the gain if we do not learn from other countries and observe the lockdown to stop the further spread of the virus? If we loosen our guards and allow this virus doom our very existence, then what have we gained? This is the call to every Nigerian to unite as one and stop the spread of this deadly virus. Stay at home and stay safe. Remember, the virus doesn't move unless we move. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, Africa's largest television network.
Report just reaching out says the Sultan of Sokoto and Chairman Jamaatul Nasrul Islam, Muhammad Saad Abubakar III, has urged Muslims to look out for the new crescent of Ramadan and communicate same to the nearest Muslim authority close by, if cited for onward transmission to His Eminence for final announcement after the necessary confirmation is conducted satisfactorily. A statement from the Jamaatul Nasrul Islam wished Muslims a happy and rewarding Ramadan in advance, but admonished Muslims to stay at home and pray with their families due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The statement notes that Islam's position on plagues and pandemics is clear, and the fact that most of the worships of late-night prayers in form of Qiyamul Layli or Taraweeh are not compulsory. They therefore advise that people should pray in their houses. On Tafsir, the Jamaatul Nasrul Islam urged Muslims to explore the various online platforms who conduct it and pray that Almighty Allah, who knows all, will accept all acts of worship as well as end the coronavirus pandemic soon. The Jamaatul Nasrul Islam commended the federal government over efforts to end the pandemic and urged Muslims to cooperate with authorities to end it. And that concludes Network News tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Muhammad Kudo Abubakar. Good night.